You are listening once again to live testimony from South Carolina in the murder trial of Alex Murdaugh. His defense attorney, Jim Griffin, is questioning one of the detectives from that night. I want to bring in once again Brian Claypool and Stuart Kaplan to talk about what we are hearing the defense do and some of their strategies. Few things stand out to me, and one is very gruesome, especially given the fact that we're likely going to see some of these images later today. But the defense uses very macabre details to describe the injuries to both Paul and Maggie, saying Paul's head was blown off. They have done this really since the start of testimony. It's something I'm not hearing from the prosecution in terms of how they are describing the brutality of these murders. Let me get your thoughts on why they might be doing that. Brian, I'll start with you.
Well, I think they're doing that because they want the jury to believe that a husband and a father of a son could never carry that out, right? That's your own blood. That's your own family. So it's so heinous that it's inconceivable that he could do that. And that's a good argument, Marni. And I think another point that the defense scored in this cross-examination is that the young lady on the stand didn't see any blood on Murdaugh. That's huge, because remember the question before that was, oh, you saw blood everywhere, you saw brain matter everywhere, but no blood on Murdaugh. So the prosecution, they're going to have to shore that up. And one question I'd be asking her if I was a prosecutor is, was Murdaugh wearing a raincoat when you were there and saw him at 12:22 in the morning? This is crucial because the prosecution is going to have to shore up that time from 9:06 to 10:10 when Murdaugh showed up. Did he have time to drive to his mom's house, for example, drop off the raincoat, and then drive back? Was it raining that night? Why would somebody be wearing a raincoat? But man, the prosecution really is going to have to get into this issue of, the raincoat, was that tested, and was he wearing it then? Why is that important? Because Marni, the prosecution is probably going to have to argue now that Murdaugh had time to toss his clothes, trash them, throw them out, throw them in the river, or get rid of them, and then change, right? And then drop the raincoat off. But that they're gonna have work to do on that.
Right, and they're going to use cell phone data to try to put him at the crime scene as well. Stuart, let's bring you in here. The other focus of the defense strategy right here was on the broadness of the search warrant, and he's asking this detective who was interested in CSI prior to becoming a detective, you had broad authority to go into that house and search it. For instance, he said search a drain for any forensic evidence or blood that might have been in the drain if someone had tried to wash off blood from their clothes. Where's he going with this?
Well, first of all, for your viewers, that language is in every search warrant. That's boilerplate. That's fill in the blank type of language. That detective did not create that verbiage. That is something that's in basically every type of warrant in connection with this type of crime. But where he is trying to go is trying to tell this jurors or these jury members, look, there was all of this other potential evidence that they just completely ignored. They had the breadth of the broadest search warrant to go into the drains, go into the sewer lines, go into the closets, go into the dryer, go into the washing machine, go up in the ceiling, start banging on walls, tearing down sheetrock. And they just only fixated and zeroed in on Alex Murdaugh. They ignored the obvious, the footprints, the tire tracks. You see how sloppy, how inept, how incompetent these detectives were. That's where they're going. But I want to go back and Brian's to Brian's point, and I see it a little differently. You see, I don't buy into the storyline as scripted by Alex Murdaugh, because we're assuming that, in fact, that this was a close range type of killing, where what the defense attorney is trying to suggest is if it was such a close range killing with respect to the DNA matter that was splattered all over the wall, then it's more likely than not, then that splatter would have ended up on the shooter. Well, you see, part of the problem, though, is if I'm a prosecutor and I get back up and I try to suggest, well, if you roll over someone, and by the way, I think the graphic nature of the body camera video is going to be so damning to the defense, because when you see the amount of blood that is going to be on the floor and on the body and around the bodies, It would be impossible, and I'm going to underscore impossible, that any person, if it had been any ring of truth that Alex Murdaugh came over and attempted to roll his son over to see if he was still alive, believe me, there would have been blood all over him, all over his hands, all over his, his knees, on his pants, on his shirt. So I don't buy into that scenario. That's the storyline that they're putting out there. Let's be honest. This guy, if in fact it's true, he blew away his wife and his son. He didn't go anywhere near these bodies. He only self-preserved what he knew he needed to do to insulate himself from any culpability and from any liability. I mean, and you watch him, and here's human nature. If your life is on the line and you have the background and the education and the experience that Alex Murdaugh has, he wouldn't have his head down. He'd be watching and listening to these witnesses word by word, line by line. He is just completely removed from these proceedings. That is someone that I believe, again, in his mind, he has to remove himself from what's being played out in open court today.
Right. And the issue of whether or not you rolled the bodies over to check for a pulse, his son's phone apparently fell out, if he would have blood on him. But in the audio that we heard yesterday, he asks the detectives, are they alive? If he had checked their pulse prior, wouldn't they say, you already know they're not alive, if you had in fact checked their pulse?
And to your point, exactly. And look, Marni, I'm going to tell you, when these graphic, unfortunate videos come out in evidence, and they'll be introduced into evidence, and so they'll be published to the jurors, let me be honest, because, and I'm sure Brian would agree with me, because I know Brian is an accomplished attorney who's handled homicide cases. When you see the graphic nature of these victims, no one would have to roll over this body to conclude that the body is lifeless. You're going to know without even coming within 10 feet that this person, unfortunately, has expired because of the injuries sustained. Let's be honest with that. And the first thing you would do, if in fact there was a ring of truth, if you came back into this house and saw what is going to be graphically depicted in this body camera video, the first thing you would do is grab your phone. You'd be in a complete panic. You'd be on the phone with the 911 operators and calling for the cavalry to get there as quickly as possible. And this idea that you would grab an actual murder weapon, the actual murder weapon of his son, and bring it out for self-protection, it's ridiculous.
A lot of questions that the jury will be asking themselves, putting themselves in the shoes of Alex Murdaugh if you came upon this gruesome scene on their hunting property in 2021. Thank you, Stuart Kaplan, and also Brian Claypool, for your analysis this morning as we continue to watch this case. Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.